So a day in the life of Leeck at USEC involves, as the global, a day in the life of Leeck at USEC as the Director of Global Market Access really involves dealing with any kind of issue that could create a barrier to free flow of trade for U.S. soybeans. So that could be anything from a tariff issue or a duty issue to something along the lines of a sanitary or phytosanitary challenge that could be a noxious weed seed found in a shipment or a unapproved biotech trait found in a shipment. So there are all kinds of different issues that pop up on a daily basis. Market access is critically important for international trade simply because it really is what it says. It's access to the marketplace. So there are a number of different issues that at any given time can create a barrier to access for markets for our U.S. soy products. So as we work in the global marketplace to try and identify regulatory burdens that may exist that could inhibit our ability to export U.S. soy or some other barrier that may exist, in some cases there's political decisions that are taken that can have an impact on the ability for the U.S. to supply a particular market. Now, oftentimes it's not an overt political statement to keep U.S. products out. In some cases it can be, such as in Russia when there's a ban placed on U.S. soy. But in many cases, what ends up happening is not necessarily a tariff issue. It could be a technical barrier to trade. And the technical barrier to trade can take many different forms. It can take sanitary or phytosanitary forms, which may mean that suddenly there is an increased testing for particular unapproved biotechnology events or noxious weed seeds or any given thing that could create an issue that U.S. soy can no longer go into the marketplace. Every day I wake up as the Director of Global Market Access thinking about how I can work for the U.S. soybean farmer to improve their bottom line, to make sure that they have markets available to them around the world. Given that we export over 60% of our product each year, it really is critical that we have access to every marketplace around the globe. And each day we work very tirelessly with not just myself, but our entire staff around the world to make sure that U.S. soybean farmers have the best opportunities possible to be able to reach the consumers around the globe. A critical linkage that we have with the international marketplace, in particular the buyers of U.S. products, is that we're really in this together. So while we may have situations to where they're trying to buy at a cheaper price, and of course we're always wanting to maximize our price and maximize our value back to our farmers, one of the things that we have to realize is that we must work together in order to make sure that we're able to supply the product and they're able to purchase the product that they want. So in many cases we will find a market access issue that crops up in a particular marketplace, and it's really important that we are able to work with our customers in the marketplace in order to try and resolve that issue, because they are the local constituents. They are the ones who can have the most influence as it relates to really educating their government on why, maybe a particular policy or a particular issue that is creating some sort of barrier, why that is bad for the overall economy of their local government. So it's really important to have that relationship, not just because we want them to buy U.S. soybeans, but we also want to make sure that we have that partnership to be able to supply the marketplace when they do want to buy U.S. soybeans. So much of commerce around the world really is about relationships. And so almost anything that you do, whether it's a personal interaction where you're trying to just travel for vacation, or whether it's a business interaction, there's a relationship aspect that's incredibly important. And so the Global Trade Exchange in particular is a great opportunity for us to connect not just the U.S. exporters with the foreign importers, but it also put the U.S. farmer in that picture, because U.S. farmers are the ones that can tell their story the best. They are passionate about what they do. They are highly skilled at what they do. And so to make the farmer available and to give them a connection to the importer, the ultimate user of their product, is so very important, because the importers, many of them may have never even been on a soybean farm, much less an American soybean farm. So to have that ability to ask questions, to talk about sustainability, to talk about how their family interacts on the farm, what their business structure is, how it's, 97% of the farms in the U.S. are family-owned farms, and how all of that works. It really is an important way for us to not just sell more soy, but to differentiate our product and to put a face with the product itself. Rather than it just being a commodity, you start to see that, these are this particular farmer's beans. You can make that connection back to the land. You can make that connection back to the origin of the product. And while you may not always be buying that specific farmer's beans, you at least now have an appreciation of what has gone into producing that product. So the farmer connection too with the ultimate end user is really critical, because now they start to understand what some of the opportunities and challenges may be that exist in the marketplace. You might have an end user that's saying, well, gosh, we've seen a decline in the quality of the U.S. crop, and talk about the components or the constituents within our soybean product and how that's changed over time. And that educates the farmer, and gosh, maybe I need to be paying attention to things other than just yield and price and agronomic packages. Maybe I need to be thinking about some different decision points within my selection of varieties, or within my selection of what crop input or crop products I'm going to put together. So it's really an important opportunity for us to stay on the cutting edge, so that we are providing to the marketplace what the marketplace wants, but we also are able to share our story with the ultimate end users. U.S. soy has really had many years of opportunity to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace, because we've been the primary supplier of world soybeans for many years, because we have been the largest producer of soybeans in the global marketplace for many years. So when somebody did come to the market looking for soybeans, the U.S. was the primary supplier of that product. So I think that there has been a transition over the last few years, when we've seen an increase in production from the South American countries, and we've seen an increase in the competition from our South American colleagues, that we as the U.S. have had to retell our story, because for so long we were the dominant player in the world market, and we became complacent perhaps in our position. So now we have an opportunity to where we can highlight all the things that really do provide some advantages for the buyers of U.S. soy, but also us as the industry. We have a consistent, reliable supply. We have a delivery system that provides that consistent supply to the marketplace. Consistent not just in timeliness and not just in always being able to deliver, but consistency in quality. Because when you're dealing with a system as large as the United States, you have a pretty steady quality product. We're also able to, because we do have such a vast production area, we are able to make sure that there's not a major weather crisis or some other production crisis that could have a tremendous impact on our supply. It may reduce our supply, and we may have regional differences, but because the area of production is so vast across many different climatic regions as well as states, it allows us to be able to always consistently supply. So when we talk about the U.S. soy advantage, it really is grounded in different things. It's grounded in intrinsic and extrinsic. We have quality factors. We have the consistency of what we're able to provide from an oil and protein standpoint, amino acid standpoint. But then we also have some of the other extrinsic values, such as our sustainability profile. U.S. farmers have done an amazing job over the last 30 years, the last 80 years really, when they started to identify that some of our practices we were employing weren't necessarily the most environmentally conscious. They weren't the most sustainable. And so there's been a major transition within U.S. agriculture to be more efficient, to be better stewards of the land, because you often hear our farmers talk about, and I smile because it makes me passionate. I'm a fifth generation farmer myself. So it's something that's very near and dear to us, is we want to continue that heritage of farming and agriculture among the family farms. So we want to pass it on to the next generation. And when we do that, we want to make sure that it's in better shape than it was when we got it. So that's become something that our farmers are very passionate about, but our farmers are also very humble, and they don't often like to talk about all the good things that they're doing on their land. So in some cases, we haven't told our story of sustainability quite as well as we have. We sometimes try and do it just through statistics rather than through the actual story that's behind it and the people that's behind it. The Soy Sustainability Assurance Protocol really is a verification system that we are making a commitment to our end users that the product that they are buying from the United States, it is sustainable. We are continuously improving our practices. We're continuously striving to be better stewards of the environment, better actors in our social aspects. Just overall, we're constantly striving to become better. And that has different definitions for different people. Some people may be achieving greater gains on the efficiency standpoint or on the environmental aspects of it, but they're looking now to see where they can engage more, where they can engage more in their community, they can be better leaders in their community. So you really have, when you think about sustainability, you think about SSAP, it's very much a continuous improvement program. It's very much a continuous improvement strategy to where we're constantly trying to seek opportunities and identify opportunities to where we can become better. International trade is always very exciting. There's always so many dynamic things that are happening. It's not any single day of my job is the same. I wake up every morning to some sort of new news event or something that might have happened around the globe that has an impact on our ability to supply the marketplace. Particularly now, because it has become such a global market. It's become a true global economy, agriculture. You've got the suppliers from South America, you've got the suppliers from North America, and we have a lot of common interests. But we also are competitors. So there's always something new and exciting happening in the world as it relates to soybean trade, as it relates to trade in general, just to see what the next challenge may be. I think the future is very bright for U.S. soy. I think we continue to see rising incomes around the globe. We continue to see a change in dietary habits of the middle class in these developing countries where the incomes are rising. Soybeans are a great source of protein. They're a great source of animal feed. It really is a very versatile product. And so you continue to see the demand for soybeans increasing. And at the same time, we continue to find new ways to be more efficient with our production of soybeans by adopting new technologies, by innovating. So I think that the world soybean market is very exciting. I think being in the U.S. soy industry is incredibly exciting because we are continuing to try and identify ways to innovate so that we can supply the products to the world that the world demands. You know, USSEC is a really interesting organization. We are a value chain organizations in many ways because we have members everywhere from life science companies to the trade to farmer organizations. But the thing that we always go back to is that we are a farmer-owned and farmer-led organization. So we come at everything from the perspective of trying to look at it from the farmer's perspective and trying to make sure that we are increasing the viability of U.S. farmers, the sustainability of U.S. farmers. And so it's a tremendous opportunity to be USSEC because we are that global voice and we are a bit of a convening location to be able to have some of those conversations that impact the trade through the value chain. So we do work very closely with our industry partners. We obviously are farmer representatives, but we represent the farmers, but we work very closely with our industry partners to try and address issues and to try and anticipate where an issue may exist to find a solution before it becomes a market access challenge.